it going, everyone? We are back again for week 11 decision tree. I have nothing creative to say about it this week, so we'll just lead in with that. How's it going, Renee?
Pretty good, Russ. How are you?
Good. As I told Renee before the show, I went to the doctors today, which you should all do. Get your yearly checkup. No terminal illnesses for Russ. Let's go.
Another year.
This week's kind of a fun one. I think there's some real important games to sort of focus in on. Is that kind of what you're looking at, or do you think it's more scattered?
Yeah, it's a really big contrast to last week. And I was trying to figure out, was last week really just, it seemed like last week there were certain situations I was interested in and a whole bunch that I wasn't. A lot of tough defensive matchups last week. This week I think it's more wide open. But then I was also like, maybe I was just in such a funk after the election last week that like nothing seemed that appealing. So I don't know. But yes, I'm a lot more optimistic this week. I think there's a lot of things you can do.
A slight bout of post-election depression. It's very common.
I don't know anyone who isn't suffering.
I just get the general vibe this week that I didn't, probably 2-3 weeks in a row, I just felt like either because of buys or the matchups, it just like wasn't good. And this week it's just like, all right, I'm playing like Garrett Blount probably at some point. Like I'm playing some Patriots, like Andrew Luck is playing the Titans, like things are good. And I guess that's where we'll start off. You said your first starting point here was Andrew Luck, 8,100 on FanDuel. What are you looking at there?
And I called him the other quarterback in this game because I think a lot of the focus and attention this week will be on Marcus Mariota. On the other side, he just threw 4 touchdowns against Green Bay last week. He's top 5 or 10 in every statistical category. And on FanDuel, at least, he's only $100 cheaper than Luck. So I think that Mariota will be the more popular play from this game. But the Colts are actually favored. It's got a huge total, 53 points. Total on this game, with the Colts having the advantage. So I think the other thing is, coming off a bye week, it doesn't do football players favors in terms of DFS ownership percentage. Like, we are so focused on what happened last week in making these decisions that if a guy didn't play last week, he's totally off the radar. So I think Luck will be the lower owned but probably higher fantasy scoring quarterback in this game.
Yeah, certainly. And, you have Dwayne Allen back healthy. I mean, I don't know how much of an impact that has, but, he's certainly a serviceable player, especially in the red zone. Moncrief back.
Yeah, everyone 2 weeks healthier.
So I think that'll be good. And I really like Luck this week. So that's certainly where I'm going. In terms of building I guess the one question I'll ask, if you start with Luck, are you going up at running back or wide receiver, I guess?
Yeah, so I wrote about that a little bit. I think Luck is in a unique position, Luck or Mariota, and there's nothing I want to say negative about Mariota here. You can go either way from here if you start in this kind of upper mid tier of quarterback. You could do high-low. There's value to be had this week. Or you could stay kind of steady, middle of the road. I do like Le'Veon Bell a lot, but I think LaShawn McCoy is one of my favorite running back plays. LeGarrette Blount, I mean, he's touchdown dependent, but Tom Brady puts him in position to score touchdowns every single week. And while I think Brady will throw a few revenge touchdowns after being shut out by the Seahawks on national television, I'm sure that Blount will get a goal line carry or 5 this so.
Yeah, I believe so as well. And yeah, I mean, you can go Hilton. I like Moncrief at his price this week, but yeah, I mean, bombs away on that game. That was really the one I was thinking about. Titans, DeMarco Murray. There's nothing bad I can say about that guy ever again. He's just unbelievable.
Yep. Proved the doubters wrong, I think.
Yep. I put away my pitchfork and have started celebrating along with him.
Good.
So Odell Beckham on DraftKings, sort of an interesting play because I think like you referenced here, bargain stud receiver. Bargain not only in that he's cheaper than Antonio Brown,
By a
But
lot, by $1,000.
yeah, but I wonder if he's a little lower owned too. So it'll be interesting. What's your thoughts on him?
I think that price discrepancy is going to drive his ownership up. I think he ends up higher owned than Antonio Brown on DraftKings. But it's a fantastic matchup. Like top 2 or 3 receiver matchup for the Giants. I like Sterling Shepard too. If you did want to go Antonio Brown and still get some exposure to the Giants, which I think will be a good passing offense this week to use. Sterling Shepard's there. So yeah, but I think Beckham. I mean, he seems to have really hit his stride with Eli Manning, and they've ironed out their differences,
Yeah,
attitude, emotional difficulties that they experienced early on. Seems to be a thing of the past. They seem to both be on the same page of let's just score lots of touchdowns. So
yeah, and he wasn't scoring touchdowns early in the year, but I think it was always a little overblown. Like how his skills were always there. And now you're starting to mention him in good matchups. It's going to be tough to fade these guys. I just think you mentioned, Le'Veon Bell is the elephant in the room this week, like against the Browns. I don't know how I don't play him.
Yeah, price alone, but
yeah, the last one you mentioned here is one that honestly, it's Friday, afternoon. I still haven't made up my mind on what I'm gonna do with him. So why don't you lead in about Ben Roethlisberger on DraftKings?
Yeah, so I'm as much aware of the Steelers and Big Ben's home road splits as anyone, but Cleveland has given up 25 passing touchdowns this year. And regardless, a bad day for Ben Roethlisberger is still a good day for a lot of quarterbacks in the league. And I just think that he's a really quality bet for 300 yards and 3 passing touchdowns this week. Bell could be on the receiving end there too. Ladarius Green is healthy now. That's another weapon who I like a lot. 2,500 on DraftKings are really easy to fit into a lineup that you want to fit the Bells and Beckhams into. So it's not the case that every time Ben Roethlisberger plays on the road, he has a terrible game. He has good games. Cleveland is a great matchup. There's nothing to suggest he's not going to thrive.
And especially of late, a lot. I think the last 2 times he's come back, like he was coming back from injury, as well in that last game. And I believed I saw a stat where he's not good coming back from injury either. So I think that was more the reason why he struggled last week. If he was $9K and like you had to pay top dollar for him, I might have a different view, but it's not like he's all that expensive. I feel like it's the Browns,
The other thing is, it's the Browns. We're having a weird glitchy thing going on.
Oh,
but we're on my end, anyways. You were sounding glitchy. So I think a lot of people will look at his price point and be like, oh, I'll pay up for Aaron Rodgers or I'll save with Mariota. And I think he's kind of in that zone where his ownership could be lower than expected. And I mean, to me, he's a high upside quarterback. Like I said, 3 touchdowns, 300 yards wouldn't surprise me in the least.
Agreed. Yeah, and I mean, if you want to go Steelers onslaught, and as you mentioned, maybe get a value in Ladarius Green there. Pretty interesting roster construction. Is there anything else you wanted to throw out there with emphasis this week?
No, I think, well, all right, one thing, because, we never really talk about defense, and I always feel guilty about it because you have to choose one. Look at the Vikings price is really nice this week. This Arizona-Minnesota game is a 40-point total in Vegas. It's almost as low as they go typically. And Carson Palmer's touchdown interception reception is atrocious from an offensive standpoint. It's great from a defensive standpoint. So Minnesota hasn't been outstanding fantasy-wise over the last 3 weeks, and their price has really plummeted. But I'm using them a lot this week. I know people are in on Miami and against Jared Goff, and I will be a little bit too. But Jared Goff could turn out to be the first round awesome pick quarterback that the Rams are hoping he is. And so I'm not 100% in on Miami. Just because he's a rookie and didn't beat out Case Keenum in the beginning of the year doesn't mean necessarily that he's going to be terrible this week.
And even with backups sometimes, or like rookie quarterbacks, we saw Carson Wentz early in the year. If teams have no film on you, it's tough to game plan, and nobody really knows what to expect from him. I mean, even the Rams probably don't know what to expect. So, yeah, I think there's a little bit of that too, and it's not like the Dolphins have been dominant. So, huh?
Those 4 interceptions last week are kind of fluky. I mean, that's not who the Dolphins secondary is.
Right. And the Vikings, their price is low enough to get me back on the train. They hurt me. They hurt me 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, me too.
But I think this is an intriguing matchup from a price point of view. So I do like that. So yeah, I think that's really where I'm headed. I mean, that Titans Colts game, I think you have to get some exposure to that Pittsburgh offense, whether it's Bell or Roethlisberger, and the high end wide receivers. That's going to be really interesting how that shakes out.
Yeah.
So as always, thanks for tuning in. If you like the videos here that we're doing, give us a like and subscribe. If you want to check out Renee Miller's article, head over to dailyfantasycafe.com and check that out there. And I'm going to let Renee send us out this week.
Have a great day, guys.
There you go. All right. We will see you guys in week 12.